The Group and Team Dynamics, Chapter 7. The strength of the team is each member. The strength of each member is the team. This was said by Phil Jackson. Most sport and a lot of exercise activities require either group or teams. Competition almost always involves at least one, if not more than one person. Group physical activities include multi-person forums such as exercise groups, fitness clubs, and physical education courses. Henry Ford once said, "Coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success." We think it is easy to define a group or a team, but it can be difficult to differentiate between the two. Groups are defined as two or more people who interact with and exert mutual influence on each other. There is a sense of mutual interaction or interdependence for a common purpose. Members of a group have the following factors in common. They have a collective identity. Members may like and be attracted to other members who share a similar identity. They have a shared purpose or objective. For example, members of an exercise group may focus on losing weight. The group has structured communication. There are expectations and norms to communication. There may even be common jargon or verbiage that is utilized and easily understood among and by the group. There's also an interpersonal attraction. Group members are drawn to other like-minded individuals. There's a personal and/or task interdependence. Group members are willing to work together to accomplish tasks and reach goals. They also have a group process. There are social norms for group participation. Those who do not follow this are typically shunned and excluded from the group. And lastly, group members may self-categorize. They frequently refer to the group as a possessive by using the words us or we when talking about activities. So how can groups affect health? Jane Kleeman, Diana Kirkwood, and Bobby Schell were three women who were all employees at the Mercy Medical Center in Dyersville, Iowa. The three discovered that half of all local health problems were connected to excessive weight. The three ladies devised an experiment. After the experiment, a book was published documenting this experience, entitled "The Town That Lost a Ton." This book explains the innovative, program-oriented way to use the support of friends, coworkers, and families to help lose weight. So what was it and how did it work? In the spring of 1998, the people of Dyersville, Iowa, decided to go on a community campaign to improve their health by discarding pounds. A system was set up throughout the community to help keep everyone on track and accountable for their fitness plans. This program is advertised as a weight loss program occurring in a socially supportive environment. Dyersville is a small town, and these ladies were able to get 383 people from a town of approximately 3,800 to participate. This is pretty incredible considering the numbers. Participants formed groups of 6 to 10 members, which competed for weekly weight loss totals. Even local businesses were drawn into the program called Fight the Fat, with restaurants offering low-fat lunches to help support program members. As the program progressed, the ladies devised simple strategies to assist participants to maintain involvement in weekly diet, physical activity, and motivational sessions. This program utilized a group approach and the buddy system. Their theory was that people need support. People need to be held accountable. Because they do not want to disappoint their partners, and because they are inspired and motivated by success of those who want to help them, the program would then succeed. The participants were then divided into teams, and the groups named their individual teams. Some of the team names were Lean on Me, Sisters Plus, and Melt Away Mamas. In addition, the groups made t-shirts, and they had weekly meetings in which the participants were rarely absent. During this experiment, the participants ended up staying together. So how did they measure success? The groups and individuals measured success based on weight loss of the team. Individual weight loss was not documented. Each group stepped on a tracker scale at the beginning, during, and at the end of the experiment. The winning team was determined as the group that collectively lost the most amount of weight. So, the bottom line, exactly how much did they lose? Of the 383 participants, the entire group lost 3,998 pounds. Now, this sounds like a lot, but when you average that among the 383 participants, each participant lost a little over 10 pounds each on average. So, what do you think? Was this really a success? Yes, the participants did lose weight overall, but was it enough? We don't really know. The researchers did not track individual weight loss, so we really don't know how much each individual lost as opposed to the team. Some team members may have lost a substantial amount of weight while others stayed relatively static. So are groups effective in promoting weight loss? Well, that's still kind of up in the air. We're still trying to determine that. A baseball team may train together every afternoon, and therefore they share a common objective and interact with each other in a formal way. Therefore, they would be considered a group. Multiple fans may also go to baseball games on Saturdays, which is not defined as a group since the fans do not interact with each other in a structured manner. In essence, a collection of individuals is not necessarily a group, and a group is not necessarily a team. All teams are groups, but not all groups are teams. We'll explore this a little further. So, how are groups and teams different from each other? What distinguishes a group from a team? So, what exactly makes a team? A sports team is a special type of group. Apart from having defining properties of mutual interaction and task interdependence, teams also have 4 key characteristics. They have a collective sense of identity. Members of a team frequently discuss participation in terms of we-ness rather than I-ness. They have distinctive roles. All members know their job or role on the team. They have structured modes of communication. There are structured lines of communication in what is considered proper. And teams have norms. Teams have social rules that guide members on what to do and what not to do. So, examining some of the differences between team characteristics and group characteristics. Team characteristics include shared leadership, individual, collective, and mutual accountability, collective performance, they encourage active problem solving, and individual skills are random and varied, whereas group characteristics include individual leadership, individual accountability, individual work products, the sharing of information, and individual skills are complementary. In addition, teams typically deliver collective outcomes, engage in open and honest communication, and they can't wait to work together. As opposed to groups, which usually deliver individual outcomes or products, engage in polite conversations when they have to, and they meet only because they have to. And lastly, team members feel a sense of ownership. Members work to resolve conflict. All members share responsibility for outcomes. They have greater motivation to support a member in need, while group members focus on themselves and their abilities. Members are often unable to resolve their conflicts. Each member is responsible for their own performance, and they are not as motivated to help a needy co-member. You've probably been asked to engage in group work here at the university among different courses. So, based on these characteristics, how many of you felt like the group project was actually teamwork? Or is group work an appropriate name for the activity? My guess is that a lot of you would identify the work as truly group work. There were likely very few components of teamwork in the activity, which is really sad and unfortunate. As we move through our classes, hopefully we can develop more teamwork and less group work. So, how does a group become a team? You're probably wondering this so that you can employ this in your groups as well. It is the assumption that groups move progressively through different stages. Issues can arise at each stage of the progression that must be navigated before the group can move forward. Groups go through 4 stages as they develop and prepare to carry out groups' tasks, including forming, storming, norming, and performing. In the first stage, forming, the team members familiarize themselves with other team members. Members engage in social comparison and assess other group members' strengths and weaknesses. This is the time when interpersonal relationships are formed and the team structure begins to develop. In the second stage, storming, rebellion often occurs as each group member is trying to establish their roles and statuses within the group. There is commonly a resistance to the leader, resistance to control by the group, and interpersonal conflict. In order to work through this stage, leaders need to communicate with participants objectively and openly to resolve these conflicts. In the third stage, norming occurs. Hostility is replaced by solidarity and cooperation. Smoothing of relationship occurs, and conflicts are resolved to create a sense of unity among group members. In the final stage, performing, the team members finally play well together to channel their energies towards team success. The team focuses on problem solving, using group processes, and their new relationships to work on tasks. Structural issues with the group have been resolved. Interpersonal relationships continue to develop and strengthen, and roles become well defined. Every group develops its own structure, or group roles, which is determined by the interaction of its members. For a group to become effective, certain structural characteristics must develop. The behaviors of group members required or expected of a person occupying a certain position must be well defined. It is important to have both role clarity and role acceptance, which are critical for team success. The group progression. We start with a group environment. This has the distinctiveness of individual members who are required to complete tasks or reach a common goal. Often there is a given group structure. This creates group norms and personal positions within the group. The group environment and the group structure lead to group processes. These are the interactions and communication among group members. This may also require sacrifices from an individual member for the benefit of the whole. Once the members are able to do these things, it leads to group cohesion and ultimate success. Within a group structure, we have group norms. Group norms are a level of performance or a pattern of behavior or belief. Leaders need to establish positive group norms or standards. This helps to increase the productivity as well as make a positive group environment. Team climate and effectiveness develops from how individuals perceive the interrelationships among group members. Some factors of team climate are more easily influenced than are others. Social support refers to an exchange of resources between at least two individuals, perceived by the provider or the recipient to be intended to enhance the well-being of the recipient. Mutual respect and support enhances a team climate. Social support provides appraisal information, reassurance, and companionship. It helps to reduce uncertainty during times of stress, aids in mental and physical recovery, and improves communication skills. Proximity suggests that people are more likely to bond when they are near each other. Closer contact can promote increased team interaction. Distinctiveness. When a group feels distinct, its feelings of unity and oneness increase. Distinctiveness can be promoted by uniforms, traditions, initiation rites, mottos, or by special privileges. The more distinctive the group feels, the better the climate. Fairness is an important aspect of team climate. This includes trust. At the core of trust is an athlete's perception of being treated fairly. Every member should believe that their effort and contribution is evaluated objectively and evenly. Fairness, or the lack of it, can bring a team closer together or it can tear it apart. Similarity among team members and commitment, attitude, aspirations, and goals are important to developing a positive team climate. The greater the team similarity, the more positive the team climate becomes. A coach's responsibility is to get individual players to play together as a team. Many coaches believe that a group of the best individuals usually do not make for the best team. A good team is more than the sum of its parts. The abilities of individual team members do not always serve as good predictors of how a team will perform in the future. So this brings us to Steiner's model. Ivan Steiner in 1972 developed a model to show the relationship between individual abilities and resources on a team and how team members interact. Steiner's model suggests that the actual productivity is equal to the potential productivity minus the losses attributable to faulty group processes. The potential productivity refers to a team's possible best performance given each player's ability, knowledge and skill, as well as the demands of the task. According to this model, individual ability is the most important resource for teams, which would then suggest that a team made up with the best individuals will usually achieve the most success. However, a team's actual productivity does not usually match up with its potential productivity. There are two kinds of losses that are attributable to faulty group processes: motivational loss and coordination loss. Motivation loss occurs when team members do not give 100% effort. Coordination losses occur when the timing between teammates is off, or when ineffective strategies are utilized. This is Steiner's model. The model describes a sequence where, starting from an occasion or a critical event within the group, also known as the input, the coordinator performs a specific coordination activity, known as the process, and then perceives the reaction of the group or individual group members, known as the outcome. This basic sequence is considered to be moderated by three additional group coordination variables: the task requirements perceived by the expert's attitude towards the coordination, and the expert's knowledge about group functioning. So, what does this all boil down to? If more cooperation and interaction are necessary, individual ability decreases and the importance of group productivity increases. This brings us to the Ringlemann Effect. Individual abilities do not neatly sum up to a group or team performance. The Ringlemann Effect was an obscure, unpublished study on individual and group performance on a rope pulling task. This was conducted by Ringlemann nearly 100 years ago. Ringlemann observed individuals and groups of 2, 3, and 8 people pulling on a rope. He observed that the relative performance of each individual progressively declined as the number of people in the group increased. Social loafing is the term that's used for the phenomena in which individuals in a group or team put forth less than 100% effort. Individual productivity attributable to social loafing are greatest when the contributions of the individual group members are not identified, they're considered dispensable, or they're disproportionate to the contributions of other group members. So, how do we identify and prevent social loafing? We can emphasize the importance of individual pride and unique contributions to the group. We can also increase identifiability of individual performances. Determining specific situations where social loafing occurs can also be helpful. We can conduct individual meetings to discuss social loafing. We can put ourselves in someone else's place. Getting a little perspective can be extremely helpful. And we can also break down the team into smaller units. Breaking the team into smaller units may create more ownership among the individuals, thus decreasing social loafing.